Good morning, everyone. I'm Dom.
Hi, I'm Angela, and we're realizing that we're standing between our talk and lunch, so thank you so much, you guys.
We will spend the next 10 minutes talking a little bit about thinking slow in the age of fast machines. And we're trying to demystify a little bit what you see on the LinkedIn reality, how I like to call it, and try to bend a little bit your mind, but also explain you what you really need to do when we talk about the human in the loop, which you hear probably from everybody speaking about. A little disclaimer before we get started. Angela and I wear various hats in our life, in our jobs. We are not here today speaking on behalf of the companies we're working for. And that's really important because it's also a benefit for you, because we will speak very truthfully about how we think and see the world when it comes to AI. And you will get the beautiful version of a charming French woman talking very directly to you, and a little bit more a rude version of me being very honest and really eager to make you change and think.
Okay, so let's get started with a couple of truths here, and I'm hoping we're going to get some head nods, but one of the things that we know, unfortunately, which is very heavy for all of us creators out there, is that AI is processing data a million times faster than the human brain. And that has consequences. And then the other element actually that we wanted to bring forward is the fact that no matter how we go about it, there is already a deluge of data, and AI is only compounding it, actually creative cognitive insanity for ourselves. So for me, as a strategist, that actually raises a couple of implications, and actually major ones. The first one is the moment we decide to actually trade creative genius for speed of data consumption, we lose. And a lot of us are amongst industry that we are seeing that speed is always the way, winning over everything. This is the wrong battle to take. The second one actually that we wanted to share with you is that the moment that we actually surrender our ability to think ahead, think for ourselves, learn, that's again the moment we lose. And we are seeing some of the consequences already out there, and I'm sure we can all nod to it. Declining IQ, less friction, less ability to bring divergent thinking. So why are we talking about this? Well, ultimately, this is the point that we wanted to make in this forum, Artist and the Machine, is that for us, the human age is really learning, and that's what makes us stand apart. And if we do not adapt through every era, if we fail to think about the leap, then we're obviously going to stand behind. So again, why am I talking about all of these? And that's really when we get in the crux of what we want to share with you guys, and we're hoping it resonates with you, but it's all about meta-learning. And some of you would have come across that way of thinking, is the ability to build your own strategy to learn. Learn across multiple data points, learn across multiple platforms, and really make sure that you stand apart from the rest through that. The reason why I can feel positive sharing this with all of us is that we talked about AI processes data a million times faster than human brain. Okay, we get it. But ultimately, our systems are designed to take billion bits out there, which means that no matter the engagement, no matter the interaction, I am learning all the time. And meta-learning is completely attached to neuroplasticity because we are master learners right from the beginning. We learn to reflect, we learn to adapt, and we learn to expand. So the key here, and I think maybe the big question for all of us, what about we take the greatest invention out there, AI, and use it to stretch our meta-learning abilities and actually bring it forward? What about a hack into my learning behavior to know how to move forward? So quick show of hands to make sure that we still stay awake, because I understand lunch is almost there. Who has an understanding of their own thinking behavior, their own learning behavior? I want show of hands. You guys, look at this. Well, do you know what? Be proud and be very envious, because everybody that's out there, DeepMind and the rest of it, that's the holy grail. They want to actually reproduce the way the human brain thinks to be able to actually really expand AI at scale. So now that we talked about the why, let's cover the how do we go about this.
Thank you, Angela. I'm impressed by the showing hands. So we heard about from how it looks like for the nature's best learners, right? And now it's about how do we make this meta-learning skill something we can do by default. We talk about it, we call it fingerprint, which is basically you're learning fingerprint. And the ability to actually leverage AI with your thinking method and do the thinking yourself instead of letting AI do the thinking, which we all know is not really working. Research shows actually that, and it's funny that this is down there, but the Cohen's d, right? That is a significant number. That's a huge jump. We don't talk about, it sounds like 0.98, which isn't showing actually here, is a small number. That jump is about from 50% to 83% if you actually use your metacognitive skills on training. So better critical thinking, better ability to adapt, better ability to learn. So our muscle in our brain is the same thing than our muscles over here. So we need to learn them. And we can do exactly that because AI can't automate that. AI can't do that. It's a predictive algorithm that is follows. So think of it a little bit like you finally use the user manual for your brain instead of just clicking remind me later, remind me later. So we went in and we said, OK, we want to make this more practical. We looked at the 6 archetypes following the Piaget behavioral research and cognitive research and said, OK, we're creating 6 fingerprint types that give us the ability to understand who we are, how we work, and allow us to deliberately think every day on demand. So the interesting part is, as children, we learn that. We actually do that consciously, but it becomes subconsciously when we become adults. And in that, basically, it hardens and becomes our fingerprint and our type that we'll use to learn. So the interesting part of that is, what we're showing here is, how do we stretch? So how do we build these muscle and train ourselves and elevate our meta-learning skills into something that expands our thinking? And it works in a very simple way. You basically have a stretch that you use. The stretch is when we intentionally use a counter pattern, so another way of thinking, right? Think differently. We all remember that. This is basically the manual for that. And slow down, which is an important part, which we need to learn. Mr. Sabis just talked about it, meta-learning, and the way of thinking slower. Avoiding the shortcut that our brain makes, right? Because our brain is layered to be lazy, unfortunately, especially when we are hungry, by the way. And so the question is now, how do we actually use that stretch, apply it, and trigger our default again to actually do what it does subconsciously, right? And use the conscious part, the stretch, to actually use AI in that moment to actually help us think differently. It's basically thinking on steroids, if you want to look at this. So let's be practical for a second. Knowing we run over time, I knew it when we did the rehearsal. Angela knew it before. So here's a practical example. Let's say you're an Imagineer, you're a game designer, and an Imagineer using AI means you create wonderful worlds. And you will think about it. I know all of you here in the room are smart. You will probably come up with amazing ideas, having great prompt skills. That's great. It's still something you do automatically, and you do just a little bit faster with AI, but it doesn't mean you be better. And a lot of the things we teach at Pratt, for example, is how do I get better with AI? So that's where the stretch comes in. So imagine the Imagineer stretch is the activator. So now you go moment by moment, right? And let's say we build a game, and we're like, OK, what is fun to do? Trashing things, right? Where should I do this? In a dense city. Who should do it? A monkey. That's how Donkey Kong was born. That's the way of thinking that we want. Same if you're a perfectionist, you go down the rabbit hole, you create, for example, Lego bricks, you create a model, a building set, you go to the minimum, right? It's like to the maximum. It's like you go to every detail. The patternist helps you, can I do something else with these bricks? Can I build out of the same bricks, other worlds, like dinosaurs and cars? So there's a lot going on in that space already. So that's about what we want to teach you. At 1:15, if you meet us at human stage, you will get the ability to actually use our method, and we have a tool for that, to analyze and identify your own fingerprint and your stretch. And we will do a little bit of a workshop with you and show you how you can leverage that every day.
Thank you so much. All right, so we're bringing this home. So ultimately, what we wanted to bring to this forum here of creative thinkers was how do we lean together into our meta-learning abilities? The world is shifting faster than we can process it, but actually our ability to adapt will always be there. We've always done it. That's part of our evolutionary method. But most importantly, we wanted to talk about the why and the how, which is rarely done. I haven't come across a lot of things that tells me how can I use the best of what's out there to stretch what I'm already really good at and tapping into a different world. So really, we really want to test those fingerprints. So if you want to join us at 1:15, we'd be delighted. And then ultimately, I mean, the magic of being human is there, it's still here. Look at all of us, human leads and AI follow. So yeah, we hope that you were inspired.